Part 1, Varada. The soft drizzle was turning into a heavy shower. I rolled up the windows of the car as I drove home. I love this rain. It brings this perpetually bustling city to a standstill. And when it does stop, don't even get me started on that. Every leaf is spotlessly green, every breath one takes is laced with its smell, and God forbid if one makes the mistake of sipping a steaming cup of tea. They're hooked for life, yes, bless the milky, sugary Indian chai, one that puts the Chinese oolong to shame. Rain makes me nostalgic. It reminds me of Manav, his childlike excitement, the delirium that I knew in those days, and my lucky stars for bringing us together. After our first few meetings, I was finding it increasingly difficult to admit to myself that I was smitten. Being in love with him made me feel the way I did as a 10-year-old, waking up on the morning of the first day of summer vacation, excited of all the good times that lay ahead. All this happened in the last few months. I think it was Mario Andretti who said, if everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough. I changed the music and smiled sheepishly at the road as if it shared my happiness. I hummed along with Led Zeppelin. I wondered if the way I felt while driving was synonymous to being with Manav. Carte blanche, yes, that was the word. Blank paper in French. The freedom and autonomy to do as one wishes. I parked the car and took the flight of stairs instead of the elevator, seemingly sure of the beatific spring in my step. As I unlocked the door plate stared back at me, Gaurav and Varada Menon. I could conveniently unsee and disregard not only the door plate, but also my marriage from my peripheral vision these days. Part 2, Gaurav. The soft drizzle was turning into a full-blown torrential downpour. I shut the window of my kitchen to stop the rainwater from seasoning my curry with a rusty aftertaste. I detest this rain. It brings the entire city to a standstill, and when it does stop, don't even get me started on that. There are puddles everywhere, one has to watch every step, and God forbid if one does make the unfortunate mistake of trotting around in a flip-flop, then the liquefied garbage of the street is on one's feet. Rain makes me claustrophobic, not just one's spirits, but it dampens the interiors of the house as well. Unlike the popular nursery rhyme, the incessant pitter-patter is a constant reminder of things that are beyond one's control. How little one can do and how minuscule one's existence is. I heard Varada unlocking the door. We avoid facing each other as much as we can, and at the cost of sounding like a snappy wisecrack, we earnestly do put a sincere effort into it. There is no cliched hug or show of interest of the other's presence. Display of affection was for the adolescents, that icky, nascent and effervescent kind of puppy love. We were wild, detached and too old for that now. Varda walked into the kitchen, took a bottle of water from the refrigerator and came up to the stove and pried over the curry. I turned the heat down so that the raging prawn curry came down to a slow simmer and bubbled back at us appetizingly from the stove. The amount of restraint it took out of me to not empty the pan's boiling content over her head, the red-hot curry running down her impeccable hair, youthfully flawless, unblemished skin, and her whiter-than-white linen sari. Of the mindless amount of screen time I was privy to, the scene that stayed with me today was the one where the antagonist's blonde head was crowned to death with hot molten metal. But I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to smack my antagonist's face with the pan afterwards while it was still hot. Oh no, the curry was too dear to me. I had immaculately sliced, pink, excruciatingly tearful, trinket-like shallots into scrawny juliennes. then peeled and pounded some pearl white garlic along with an inch of gnarly ginger. The trio then had a threesome of their own in smoking coconut oil. Spoonfuls, mostly lesser, of russet spices acted like olfactory pheromones along with a sprinkling of salt and sugar. They were then joined by chopped red tomatoes that debauched the whole pan and amalgamated all the ingredients into one caramelized mush. Lustrous and glassy prawn met them to eventually turn cryptically opaque. I poured some freshly squeezed, let me reiterate, not canned, but freshly squeezed coconut milk into the pan. The red hot curry immediately mellowed down into submission and turned amber. I wonder why I never think of Varda the way I do of my culinary spread. My kitchen excited me more than a boudoir. I pictured myself as Tolkien's or Peter Jackson's Gollum. I leave that choice to you, addressing the ring as precious. In this case, my scrumptious amber red prawn curry, and snickered. Coming down to plating my labor of the day, I took her favorite blue ceramic bowl I had gifted her on a trip to Istanbul. Brushing aside the faint reminder of us and the trip, I served a portion of the fragrant long grain basmati rice into one half of the bowl and the prawn curry into the other half. Now, all that remained was to garnish it. But before that, I cleared my throat and spit out a concoction of saliva and phlegm from the farthest possible end of my esophagus into her blue bowl. For a change, I squeezed out a little water from the dishwashing sponge for added flavor. As per a popular television commercial, a dishwashing sponge had more germs than a toilet handle, all for the uninterrupted screen time. What better? Stirred it, topped it with some chopped coriander leaves, and called out, "Dinner's ready."